Hey guys, today we're going to be going over the truth about aim training and how you can deliberately train in order to improve your aim rather than just doing some random exercises or just playing deathmatch with your brain off and just blasting music like a lot of people tell you to. That's not really going to improve your aim as fast as you might want to. So if you really want to improve your aim fast, you need to really set goals in mind. That's the most important thing, is setting goals and training to reach those goals. So when I say set goals, basically what I mean by that is just having something that you want to accomplish whenever you play your death matches in Valorant, rather than just hopping into a deathmatch and playing it out, blasting music, and just kind of running around hoping that your aim will improve naturally. You want to be setting goals for yourself in these death matches. So for example, if you wanted to practice your one taps, then you would go into a death match just going only for one taps. Even if the situation doesn't really make sense to go for one taps, you just kind of want to challenge yourself. Like right now, you would just run around and force yourself to go strictly for one taps. Another thing is, a lot of people will play deathmatch and listen to music at the same time, which there's nothing wrong with that. I also do that as well, but I only listen to music in death matches if I'm warming up before I'm playing ranked. If I'm going in with the specific goal to aim train, I actually won't play music in deathmatch, and I highly recommend that you guys try this out as well. If you've never played deathmatch without music, I recommend going into a deathmatch and just not playing music at all, and you might find that the experience is a lot different. Playing without music lets you hear a lot of audio cues, like people spawning in or somebody about to swing an angle on you. And while that's not like super realistic, because in DM a lot of people are just full sprinting around, whereas in like a ranked game they won't be full sprinting, it still helps you gauge distances. And when you hear those footsteps, some of those actually, like some of these angles that people swing full sprinting, they also do that in ranked. So having these audio cues and being able to hear people coming up behind you, like that Cypher right there just came up behind me, and I was able to turn around and anticipate that fight, helps you, first of all, get more engagements in the deathmatch, so you're not being shot in the back as much. But it also just helps you learn some audio cues, distancing, and knowing when somebody is going to appear on your screen based on their footsteps, which can help a lot in actual games. So I mentioned earlier that you want to set goals. Another one of those, for example, could be crosshair placement. So if I'm loading into this deathmatch and my goal for this deathmatch is to improve my crosshair placement, then I will hyperfixate on my crosshair and make sure that my crosshair is at good crosshair placement while I'm moving around the map. So just pretend that like you're in a ranked game and you're moving around the map with your crosshair at head level, and that's a really good way to train specific skill sets. If, for example, I wanted to train my spray control, then every engagement that I take, I will force myself to go into a full spray. And while that might not be ideal, like for example on that stairs guy, like all these guys are super far, usually you should be tapping at these angles instead of going for full sprays. But since I'm training that skill set, I'm going to force myself to do it. So every engagement that I take, even if it's like not really a good place to do it, I'm going to go into this full spray, as you can see here. So it's really all about focusing on a goal and really committing yourself to it. And the main thing is to just be completely focused on the deathmatch. So no music, turn your volume up as you would have it if you were playing an actual game. And the main thing is to actually focus on the aim training and the game rather than just kind of turning your brain off and passively doing
10
stuff.
kills remaining.
I don't know if you guys were around when the Miyagi method was trending on TikTok for Valorant, but it would basically be just, you don't shoot at your enemy and you kind of just put your crosshair on their head and strafe side to side. And a lot of content creators were saying that this is a great way to train your aim, which is true, because this is going to be training your tracking. So the Miyagi method was a great way to train your tracking. You would basically just see somebody and just put your crosshair on their head and strafe side to side. And a lot of the time you would see the other person whiff.
5 kills remaining.
So yeah, that's another example of just setting a goal and practicing it.
No more meddling.
Another great way to train your tracking is to actually use the range. So here's an exercise that I always recommend people do if they want to work on their tracking. It's super simple. All you need to do is load up the range, pick any agent you want, and then just spawn in the bots. And literally the exercise here is just to put your crosshair over a bot's head and strafe side to side while trying your best to keep your crosshair on the bot's head. And this is a great way to practice your tracking ability. You might find that it's a little bit hard at first if you've never done this before. And also, this is a great way to test whether or not your sensitivity is good for you. If your sensitivity is a little bit too high, you might find yourself over-flicking this bot. And if your sensitivity is a little bit too low, you might find that you're under-aiming the bot and having to lift your mouse too much, or just having a hard time staying on the bot's head. So not only is this a great way to practice your tracking, but it's also a great way to test your sensitivity. So the main takeaway here when it comes to aim training is to be conscious while you're aim training rather than kind of just on autopilot. You want to be actively engaged in your aim training and also setting goals as well, depending on your weaknesses and what you want to improve, whether that's tracking, discipline, bursts, tapping, spray control, whatever it is. Make sure you set that goal and then go into the deathmatch or the range wherever you're practicing with that goal in mind and to be actively engaged in improving that skill set. If you go into aim training without a clear goal in mind and you're just kind of doing whatever, you know, like spraying, bursting, everything at the same time, it's harder to see improvement as fast as if you just split it up into different segments and tackle each skill set separately. Obviously, aim training is just a piece of the puzzle when it comes to improving your overall mechanics in Valorant. A big part of aim is actually down to your movement as well. And if you're curious about how to move properly in Valorant and how to peek properly in Valorant, I've made a really in-depth movement guide. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Also, a big part of your mechanics is your positioning and crosshair placement as well. Obviously, for crosshair placement, like I mentioned earlier, you can just hop into a DM or even just a custom game with nobody in the lobby except you and just walk around the map and just focus on your crosshair while you move around the map, making sure that you're pre-aiming angles properly and peeking angles appropriately. If you need a guide on crosshair placement, I've also made a video on that, so you can check that out as well. And of course, if you want some exercises to do while you're aim training, or you're just unsure of how to aim train properly, I've also made several videos on my aim training routine, as well as my warm-up routine for Valorant, which I will leave in the description below. All of this can be done inside of Valorant. You don't need any external aim trainers like AimLab or Kovacs. In my personal opinion, you don't really need external aim trainers to improve your mechanics in Valorant. Everything can be done inside of Valorant using the range and deathmatches. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That was just kind of a quick tip that I wanted to throw out there for you guys looking to improve your aim. Hopefully this helps, and if it does, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.